could be alone between city lights. We don't have to hide. I wanna go, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? I can't understand why we can't hold hands, but they don't know what we have is real love. Aren't you sick and tired of having to hide? I know a place, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream. It's Monday night, and it is time to do some Q&A. Brendan D, I agree with you. I am probably never going to change this intro song. I like this intro song a lot, and I'm a guy who likes to just run with what works. I've had the same intro for years, literally years. So, oh, there you go. That's way better. I put the God camera back up. I can't promise you it's in exactly the same location. The God camera fell down. If it looks slightly different, that's why. Why is that room so small but so big in your videos? It's just a trick of the camera, Mad Hero FPV. Just a trick of the camera. It is... I don't know how to tell you how big it is, but yeah. Everybody who's ever come to visit my house tells me that the room looks bigger on camera. And there you go. See, now doesn't it look way bigger? Right? Does it look like that wall is really far away? But it's really not, is it? It still looks bigger than it really is, even in this shot. I think it's like 17 feet deep. I'm not sure. Pinkus Rosenfeld wants to know, as a beginner, should I buy the Nazgul 5 or the JB Xylo build? The question is just whether you want to build it yourself or whether you want someone else to build it for you. That's really it. That's really it. If you want to build it yourself, the Nazgul is going to work for you because it comes pre-built. If you, yeah. You ever think about painting the walls another color? Asks 507RC. I have thought a lot about my lighting scheme and my color scheme in the room. The biggest problem, and I don't know the best way to solve this, and maybe I never will, because every time I think about it, I just have other things to do. We got a brown desk, we got brown carpet, we got a white wall. It's just not very dynamic. But I don't know what to do. I mean, you get colored lights, I guess. I don't know. And then every time I start thinking about it, I'm just like, screw it. And I just get on with my life. Seems like too much trouble. Or just make videos. So. Yeah. Because what I like to do is help people out and answer questions. And that's what we're going to do tonight. Welcome to the live stream. If this is your first live stream, first of all, welcome to the live stream. If it's your first one, I'm so glad you're here. And what we're going to be doing is answering your questions. Check it out. This is my main screen right here. We're going to be talking to, hang on, we'll get there. We're going to be talking to you beautiful people. This is you in the chat right here. Questions screaming by. Yeah, okay. I'll be answering your questions. How do you fix drift with PIDs? Raise eye gain. I mean, that's the, there's probably more to the question than that, but first make sure your channels are centered and then make sure your eye gain is high enough. Make sure your channels are centered is a better, if your quad is drifting, make sure your channels are centered. These beautiful people are my patrons right here. My patrons in the Discord. Thank you guys for coming out, and thank you for supporting me on Patreon. If you want to join them in this Discord server, look at all this stuff that's going on. By the way, if you haven't been on my Discord server, then you won't know that this has changed. Recently, the moderators of my server took it upon themselves to completely reshuffle the channels, and we got a ton of channels here. DJI, micros, long range, free sky, crossfire, 3D printing, fixed wing, video production, iNav, batteries and charging laws. They added a ton of also daily cat pictures. Yeah, they added a ton of channels on a whole bunch of topics. The Discord server is officially bigger than I can keep up with. Used to be there was like one channel, and I would just check in every day. And now I mean I still check in approximately once a day, and of course I still answer my DMs, but like I haven't even been, I can't remember the last, I don't even really go into the long range channel unless there's a specific question I have. But it's great because there's so many helpful people here, and I'm so proud of them all, so thank you. And you know, if you don't want to do any of that, you could throw me a super chat, and I will answer your super chats, like this one from Bryce Lamola, which I will get to in just a minute. Hit the $ right down here and leave a super chat. And that's what we're going to do for about 2 hours. We're just going to answer questions. And, oh, wait, hang on. There you go. There's my beautiful face. Just going to answer questions and talk about whatever. So, what you guys been up to? Tyler Harris says, wow, 268 DMs. How do you answer them so fast? Where do you see 268 DMs? I mean, I feel like that's plausible. Like, for example, I actually have not answered Gmail yet today. I gotta, for reasons. I usually clear my inbox first thing in the morning. Let's see how we're doing. Oh, today has been a light day. Today's been a light day. We only have 36 messages in my inbox. That's actually pretty respectable. That's my one of my many. But yeah. The beer of the night, Sick of Life 90, is a gin and tonic. Gin and tonic. Alex wants to know, will a dipole antenna work with a Cloverleaf antenna? It will. You'll get slightly weaker reception, but it will work. Between a dipole and a circular polarized antenna, there is a constant 3 dB of loss nominally. In reality, it may be a little more or a little less, depending on various factors. But between an ideal dipole and an ideal circular polarized antenna, there will be a constant 3 dB of loss. But the key thing is that the loss is independent of where the dipole is pointing. So normally, if you have a dipole antenna, you will have 0 dB of polarization loss. I need another thing. I don't have it. There will be 0 dB of polarization loss when the dipoles are aligned, and there will be a lot of polarization loss when the dipoles are 90 degrees out of phase with each other. I'm talking about their literal physical orientation in space. And when they're 90 degrees out of alignment with each other, you could get, let's say, 14 or 15 dB, maybe more, but that's pretty realistic. When you have a dipole and a circular polarized antenna, you'll get 3 dB-ish of loss, and it's independent of the orientation of the dipole antenna. So in many ways, I feel like it's actually better to have a dipole and a circular than 2 dipoles. Because with 2 dipoles, let's say you got a dipole on your goggle, or a linear antenna on your goggle, and a linear antenna on your quad. As your quad rotates, you could get dropouts due to the polarization loss. Whereas if you've got a circular on your goggle, it's always a little bit worse than it could be, but at least it's consistent. KD2RDH Larry says, that's a very unclear gin and tonic. What do your gin and tonics usually look like? I mean, there's some lime in there. Maybe it's the lime juice you're seeing. Where do I have that many unread messages? Oh, 655. Yeah, I think what you guys were seeing is maybe this. What you guys might have been seeing was this. This folder right here is all the other servers that I'm on. Yeah, I have a lot of unread messages on them. That's just what it's like to be me. David Murray asks, if you're going to Rotor Riot Rampage and you buy a spectator pass, but you just change your mind and decide you'd like to fly, can you upgrade your pass at the event? David Murray, you should get an answer from the people running Rotor Riot Rampage. I will tell you, I would guess that the answer is no, because pilot passes are extremely limited. The reason pilot passes are limited is that you can only have so many people flying without interference. If you just let everybody fly, then there would be a ton of interference, and you couldn't really manage the channels. I'm fully expecting that by the time Rotor Riot Rampage comes around, all of the pilot passes will have sold out, if they haven't already. So if you want a pilot pass, you should definitely get one. I don't think you'll be able to upgrade at the event, but you should ask. You should ask the organizers for the official answer. Is 1407 a good motor size for a sub 250 gram 4-inch build? Asks Mad Hero FPV. What size motor is on the iFlight Chimera? I think it's 1408. Let's just look over here on Newbie Drone. Because what I always do is first I just look at what other people are doing and remind myself. 1404. I'm sorry. Whoa, my bad. Yeah, that's why I always check, because my memory is often wrong. Yeah, my bad. It's a 1404. So for a sub 250 4-inch, 1404. Now, granted, these are cruisers. These are not like racers or freestylers. I have run 1407. I've run 1407 on 4-inch props, heavier 4-inch, and they were okay. In fact, for a heavier 4-inch, I actually have felt like 1407 is a little undersized. But for a lightweight 4-inch, especially if you're trying to get sub 250, I think 1407 is going to be too big and heavy of a motor. So I would suggest looking at something in the range of a 1404. And that's not because, like, well, gosh, I'm such a smart guy, that's what I know you should use. That's because I can look at what, like, the iFlight Chimera, the Gep RC Baby Crocodile, the Flywheel Explorer, all of these guys are using 1404s. The other motor size you could think about is a 2004 motor, 2004. That is more of an acro motor than a lightweight cruiser, but you can get under 250 with a 2004 motor. It's going to be a little harder, but you can do it, and it's going to give you a little more performance. So Philip Merritt says 16XX are good also. Philip Merritt, I think that a 1608 motor, which I think 1608 is the size they put on the Hawk, the Hawk 4-inch. Emax Hawk 4, I think it has 1608s. Maybe 1606. Let's just remind ourselves again to get the details right. This is not the Emacs product listing. That is also not what I wanted. Let's try this. 1606. Okay, so the Hawk has 1606 motors. I thought they were pretty ideal for a heavier 4-inch build. And the reason I say that is I've tried, like I had a 4-inch quad years ago with Brother Hobby 1407 motors. Now, I don't remember what the all-up weight was, but this was years ago, and components and frames weren't as light as they are. So it was on the heavy side, especially by today's standards. And those 1407 motors were smoking hot the whole time. I really did not like it, and I felt like the motors were overpropped for the weight of the quad. Now, some people will run like an 1806. The thing is, 1806 is okay for a heavy 4-inch quad, but it's maybe a little more motor than you need. And I really felt like the 1606 motors were pretty freaking good on the Baby Hawk R. I think if you're going for a heavier, more performance-oriented 4-inch, a 1606 or an 1806 is a good choice. Maybe a 2204, maybe. They're starting to get heavy at that point. If you're going more lightweight, then you could move down into the 1508, 1407 category. But if you're trying to be sub 250, all of that's way too heavy and is more than you need. So. Copter 612 in the Discord wants to know, if you were getting into DJI with the V2 goggles, would you build with the Nebula Pro camera or the full DJI camera, Air Unit or Vista? Wondering what your preference would be. So the first thing I want to say about that is that the DJI V2 goggles are exactly like the V1 goggles in almost every way that matters to an FPV pilot. They take 6S input, whereas the V2 goggles, the V1 goggles only took up to 17 volts, at least nominally. Some people did say they ran the V1 goggles on 6S and they didn't fry, but personally I wouldn't take the chance. And the V2 goggles have been said that they're going to have USB output, video output to a smartphone, presumably via the DJI app. So saying the V2 goggles, if I'm starting with the V2 goggles, doesn't matter. They're identical to the V1 goggles in almost every way that matters to an FPV pilot. So why did they release the V2 goggles? Because of some things that aren't directly relevant to FPV pilots, like some hypothetical products that have been leaked. Huh? Okay, I won't say any more about that. So, what camera would you start with? I personally, I'm working on putting together my next perfect freestyle build. I know I've been saying this for like 6 months now. I'm not going to do it until I have everything how I want it to be. So I haven't been able to find the parts that I feel like I want to exactly go for. But I thought a lot about the Air Unit versus the Vista. And I've got to tell you, the Air Unit is slightly better than the Vista under some circumstances, but I flew with the Vista and I never felt like it's just so good. And you do save a fair amount of weight with the Vista compared to the Air Unit. So I felt like the Vista was better than the best analog that I used to fly. I never was like, oh man, I was just about to fly through that awesome location and then my video dropped out. If only I had had the Air Unit. So the Vista is lighter. It's not a lot lighter, but it is some lighter. But the key thing about the Vista is that your frame can be smaller. So when you go from the Air Unit to the Vista, you save, I think it's like 15 grams with the Vista over the Air Unit, which that I would take 15 grams to get the full-size Air Unit. With the full-size Air Unit deals with heat better. The Vista overheats really quickly and shuts down. The Air Unit takes much longer to overheat. The Air Unit has onboard recording, records audio, all that stuff. I would pay 15 grams to get the Air Unit, but you can also get a frame that's maybe 15 grams lighter because it's narrower, it's smaller, And so I feel like going to the Vista saves you maybe 30 grams over the weight of the whole quad compared to the Air unit, maybe a little more. And I was like, okay, that's it. So Vista over Air unit, at least for me. And then as far as the camera goes, I am planning to stick with the Vista cam. The DJI cam that the Vista uses is really good, but I do have the Caddx Nebula Pro, not the Nebula Nano, not the Nebula Micro, the Caddx Nebula Pro. I have that on the Flywoo Explorer, and I still haven't gotten a chance to really sit down and side by side it, but I felt like it was okay. And here's the thing about the Nebula Pro. It has all of the characteristics that you can change it from 4.3 to 16.9. You can adjust the exposure. You can adjust the saturation. You can go into both high quality and low latency mode. You can't do those things with the Nebula Nano, for example. You can't. I don't think you can do that with a Nebula Micro either. So the Nebula Pro, Nebula Micro Pro, whatever the new Nebula is, that one to me, it may not be quite as good as the DJI cam, but it's way cheap. It's like $125 versus $160. I personally probably am going to stick with the DJI cam, but I wouldn't. I feel like the Nebula Pro is. Oh, Anthony Short reminds us that the Nebula Pro is also a standard 19 millimeter size, whereas the DJI cam is like 19.8 millimeter. Like it's another millimeter thickness. It doesn't fit in every frame. That's a good point. So that's the direction I plan to go with my Perfect Freestyle Build 2021 edition. Vista. The main person who's going to go with the Air unit is somebody who is building a bigger, heavier quad. If you're building a 7-inch cruiser, just go with the Air unit. What do you care about an extra 15 grams? You got a giant honking quadcopter anyway. Or let's say you want to do a little 3-inch, but you absolutely have to have DVR on board. You just do not want to trust the DVR to the goggles. Then you could go with the Air unit. So, great question. Thank you for asking that question. Let me get some super chats out of the way. We got a bunch of super chats coming in. And then we'll do some more questions from the regular chat. Bryce Hormola, thank you for $20 super chat. Where can I get the DJI V2 goggles? You can't. Right now, they're not for sale. The DJI goggles V2 went on sale for like one day, and then DJI was like, "No, stop! Don't." I think there was a my take on it is that there was a miscommunication inside DJI where someone said it was okay to release them, and then someone else was like, "What are you doing?" I don't know if there was some sinister plan, but they were on sale for like one day, and then all the retailers took them out of the store. So there's nowhere you can buy them right now, and I don't know when they will release. That's not true. I do. I just am not allowed to say. So for now, you just have to wait. Or you have to buy a used set of V1s. Yoni Musher, thank you for $2. Thanks for helping with my Tyrannus X9 Lite and XM Plus. I hope we were able to solve it. Benji Penji, thanks for $5. Watch the Vanover reaction vids. I'm hesitant to do that. I kind of want to do the Vanover reaction vids, but I haven't checked them to make sure they're okay to play on stream. So I made a post of, where's my post? I want to check them before I play them on stream, but I do want to do that. Probably they're okay to play on stream. Let me look. So I made a post. What's a good size and weight for a mountain surfing quad? How Jay say? I mean, you're probably going to be doing 7 or 10 inch props as far as weight goes. My guess is you're going to be in the 1 to 1.2 kilogram range, but I'm just pulling that out of my butt. I'm not walking on the edge of an NDA. It's only violating the NDA if I actually tell you. Let's see here. Let's see your funniest edits of my reaction. So what happened was I reacted to Vanover's power loop. And I just literally jumped out of my seat. It was in one of my previous live streams. You could check that out. I literally jumped out of my seat and left the room. And then people started editing other stuff in. So check this out. There. You got to see the good one. All right, we'll stick around for the good one. Here's Vanover. This kid thinks he can fly. This is not the original reaction. Bubby, you watch Daddy Vanover. You know you want to see what to do. No, you son of a. No, 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 no! Shut up! So he just cut himself in, just him doing some, like, you know, just barely flying around. And I was like, okay, what else have you got? So let's look at some other reactions here. Let's hope that all of them are family friendly and live stream friendly. Maximum effort editing from Sam Beresford. Here we go. It's there. You got to see the good one. All right, we'll stick around for the good one. Here's Vanover. This kid thinks he can fly. He's okay. Bubby, you watch Daddy Vanover. You know you want to see what to do. No, you son of a. No, 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 no! Shut up! That's pretty funny. That was pretty funny. Sam Beresford, thank you, sir. What else have we got? What else have we got? Eric Terry, here we go. It's there. You got to see the good one. All right, we'll stick around for the good one. Here's Vanover. This kid thinks he can fly. What camera is this? Bubby. You watch Daddy Vanover. You know you want to see what to do. No, you son of a. No, 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 no! Shut up! Okay. All right, let's do a few more. This is Mike O. It's there. You got to see the good one. All right, we'll stick around for the good one. Uh-oh. Here's Vanover. This kid thinks he can fly. He's okay. Bubby, you watch Daddy Vanover. You know you want to see what to do. No, you son of a. No, 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 no! Shut. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Thank you, Mike O. What live stream was this? Isaac bunking him. It was like last Sunday or Monday, I think. Okay, how many more? Let's do a few more. Let's get a few more. This is Chris Dewey. You got to see the good one. All right, we'll stick around for the good one. Oh, this is actually some good-looking footage. This is actually good-looking footage. He's okay. Bubby, you watch Daddy Vanover. You know you want to. This is really nice. No, you son of a. No, 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 no! Shut up! Oh, he lost his video. Oh, that hurts. That hurts. Oh, Chris Dewey. Steve Plouet. This is Steve's first year edit. We'll just watch a couple more. Oh, we got to see the good one. All right, we'll stick around for the good one. Oh, we can't do music. Sorry, guys. We can't do music. I'm very sorry. I don't want to get copy struck. Oh, he took it here. Benji Penji. Took the music out. Thank you, Benji. That wasn't even the good Vanover power loop, Toxic FPV. On for the good one. Here's Vanover. This kid thinks he can fly. Ooh, oh, this is nerve-wracking. You watch Daddy Vanover. You know you want to. Oh, is he gonna perch? No, you son of a. What's he doing? No, shut up! That's how you can tell if somebody's using stabilization. Look, watch how it keeps moving after he perches. That's how you can tell they're using stabilization. See how it moved right there? Right there. That little glitch right there, that's how you can tell they're using stabilization. All right, there are a bunch more that were posted. Maybe we'll look at them in another live stream, but that's some great stuff. Thank you guys for that. Thank you, Benji Penji, for the $5 super chat. I'm glad we got to yours. Yours is actually, I think, the last one we're going to go out on, which is great because you gave the super chat. Jeff RC, thanks for 20 SGD. I just sent you a DM yesterday about getting to your live stream and the UV LED arms. Now I finally got here. Thanks for your great YouTube channel that helps us newbies to FPV. Thank you, Jeff RC. Trail Features, thanks for a $20 super chat. I'm new here. Welcome. Want to get into FPV for the fun and the mountain bike footage. Yeah, it's all fun. I'm thinking about getting the DJI digital kit, 5-inch drone that can hold a Hero 8. I'm still in the don't know what I don't know phase. Any tips or videos I should watch? Oh, that's, I mean, where to start, man? If you're thinking of getting a self-build kit, Rotor Riot has some great ones, well tested. And there's other places, obviously, you can go. I think for a beginner who is just starting out, I do recommend that you get a kit. You don't have to get a bind and fly. If you want to build it yourself, go right ahead. But get a kit that someone else has picked the parts and they're like, just start here. And ideally, it'll also have a build tutorial. Obviously, I have my Xylo, my JB budget build kit. It is not currently DJI capable, although we are going to put out a DJI addendum to it. The best place to start is with a build, because you will kind of start to learn hands-on how, like, what the parts are and how they go together just by following the build, right? If I sat you down and said, here are all the parts of a quadcopter. This is the ESC. The ESC is a brushless motor driver that commutates the motors. The motors are three-phase brushless motors. And you'd be like, whoa, hang on. None of it is going to be relevant. It's all just going to be word salad. So if you start from the perspective of, I have these parts, I am going to put them together and build them, then number one, at the end, you'll have a quadcopter you can fly. And number two, it'll all kind of make sense and be relevant. So yeah, Rotor Riot sells some great pre-built kits if you're interested in building your own, like the HD1 kit. Free Lojo, thank you for a $5 super chat. I had a strange OSD issue. No OSD with the Runcam Nano. Came back when the camera was unplugged. Fixed completely with a Micro Eagle installed. Free Lojo, the issue is probably an NTSC or PAL mismatch. So the camera can output either NTSC or PAL. There's two different formats for the signal. If the OSD on the flight controller is expecting NTSC and it gets PAL, then you won't get an OSD. That's the long and short of it, the short of it. So probably the Micro Eagle was set to NTSC and the Runcam was set to PAL. In the Betaflight OSD tab, there's a setting, NTSC, PAL, Auto. Auto doesn't always work, and you can manually set it. So that's what I think happened. We got one here from A Day at the Courthouse. Thank you for a $20 super chat. A Day at the Courthouse has been kind of trolling my super chats. And if you're going to troll me in the super chats, kids. Yeah. Hey, Bardwell, you sure are a jerk. And I hate you and your content sucks. Here's a $50 super chat. I will read that with a smile on my face. So he was trolling the super chats a little bit, pretending to be a day at the range. The guy who said he had a way to get HDMI out of the DJI goggles and then started a Patreon and disappeared. There's a little more to the story than that, but that's the short version. A Day at the Courthouse says, I am not a day at the range. I was just making these as a joke. I don't know how many people lost money, and I wasn't intending to belittle anybody who lost money. I was just trolling. Yeah, okay. Again, 661 FPV says, here come the mean super chats. again, I mean, for the right amount of money, I will just read mean super chats about myself. What's my opinion of the value of something like a Taycan Cinewhoop versus a 350-ish squirt build? Asks Blind FPV. There is no question, if you look at what actual professionals who make money are flying, they are, for the most part, not flying any of the pre-built Cinewhoops, like the Daitone Taycan. This is not a slam on the Taycan or the iFlight Bumblebee or any of the others. I'm not going to just list a bunch of them. This is not a slam on any of them. They are good in their own way and maybe great for what you want to do. But there's just no question that the pros are flying like the Chendrone Squirt or other quads like that. For a typical person who just wants to fly and have fun, I don't think it matters. But for a professional who wants to get, who wants to actually work, what do you get with the Chendrone Squirt that you don't get with the Daitone Taycan? I don't actually know. I mean, I think that the Squirt flies really well. When I tested them, it didn't do the best in every category under my testing, and yet there's a reason the pros fly it. And I don't know, I don't know off the top of my head what that reason is. But I do think the value is there. But for a typical, like if you think about it, a Sony A7S III camera is like it's not even a pro grade camera by some standards. It is a prosumer maybe grade camera. It's like a $5,000 camera. Is the value there? Not to me. I don't own one. I don't think, I kind of would love to own one, but I'm not going to spend $5,000 on it, plus the lens. So the question is the value there for you? And I think for a typical person who just wants to fly and have fun and maybe get some shots, any of the ready-to-flies like the Daitone Taycan probably won't make a difference for you to go up to the more expensive one. So, let's see here. Isn't the Cinewhoop time past? Asks Toady RZ. Toady RZ and anyone else out there who says Cinewhoops are over, I disagree. So professional pilots like Tommy Tibahia and Paul Nurkala are flying Cinewhoops on movie sets and commercial sets because the Cinewhoop is the exact reasons why Cinewhoops were invented. They're small, they're safe to fly around people. They can get into small areas and do certain types of shots. They absolutely are a tool to get a certain kind of shot. Now, if you're just, a rando who just wants to get into FPV, should you buy a Cinewhoop? The answer might be yes. And I say that because a person just getting started needs something that is not too powerful, that is safe to fly and safe to crash. And a Cinewhoop actually ticks those boxes pretty well. The prop guards help protect against damage both to the quad and to the environment. Cinewhoops are kind of not that powerful or fast, but they could get a little bit of go, So I actually think the best way to learn to fly is to practice in a simulator until you get good and then switch straight to a 5-inch. That's actually the best way to do it, in my opinion. But a lot of people want to get into the air sooner rather than later, and I think a Cinewhoop's better than a tiny whoop. Because a tiny whoop, a little 65mm tiny whoop, I actually think that's not a great choice for your first quad. They are really touchy on the throttle. They can be really powerful for their weight, depending on the kV of the motor you get. And you fly them indoors, which means you just tons of things to crash into, and it's really hard to learn to fly. So I think there's definitely a place out there for Cinewhoops. ProTech 35, definitely a good one. What's the frame that I selected for my 2021 build? Oh man, Urban 2006 says I need to buy the parts in. to get them here in Colombia so they arrive by March. I'm really sorry, man. I can't tell you what I've decided to do because it's not final yet. It's going to be one of those frames in my roundup, but there are a couple things I want to change about it. And so I'm in talks right now with the company that makes it to discuss the changes I'd like to make and see if we can get them made. I really hope we can get this done in a reasonable amount of time. We are getting ready to go into Chinese New Year, so I don't know. It would be really great if I could get that done and get it ready to go by March or maybe April. But I can't just say, here are the parts you need to buy right now and let you get them. The great thing is the frame, you could actually pick any of those frames and probably you'll be able to go and follow along in the build. It's the flight controller and so forth that's going to really make the difference. The frame, you could get some flexibility there. I also got to think about motors. Motors for my Ultimate Freestyle build. And you might say, well, obviously you're going to use the JB, the Bardwell motors. About that. The JB motors have been out of stock for a while. That purple color on the ring was electroplating. And apparently electroplating is really expensive. I didn't know that. I was just like, hey, could they be purple? And Get FPV was like, yeah, we'll make them purple. And they were like, okay. I was like, okay, cool, thank you. But when it came time to order a second batch of motors, the electroplating is super expensive. And they were having trouble finding a factory that could do it. Well, obviously somewhere out there's a factory that could do it. But it's not a huge number of motors that they're going to order. So, now Mike Bergman says it's all electroplating. For the aluminum, it's anodizing, Mike. And that's the difference I'm getting at. Anodizing aluminum is not expensive. It's super cheap. But electroplating steel, which is what the ring is, that's apparently super expensive, at least for this particular color, purple. I don't know. Yeah, they were like, just to make the vat of chemicals that you will then electroplate the rings in, like several $1,000s just to get the vat of chemicals going. Anyway. And I was like, you know what? Maybe this is a sign. See, here's the problem. One of the points of my next Perfect Freestyle build is going to be that weight is important. BBN FPV, for the Perfect Freestyle build, price is not an obstacle. The goal of the Perfect Freestyle build is just to pick the parts that I love the most in my heart of hearts. And I don't really have any regard for cost for the Perfect Freestyle build. This is not a budget build. So if the F60 was the right motor, I would pick it. And since my focus has been on getting the weight down, I mean, my motors are a 2407 and a 2208. I was like, do I really need those? Because they're like 4 grams heavier than a 2306 or 2207, depending on the motor, obviously. And that's a lot of weight over the weight of the quad. So here I am complaining about 10 or 15 grams on the frame, but I'm going to just slap my motors on it because they're my motors? No. So I thought about it, and I was like, in this day and age, I'm not convinced there's a hugely compelling reason to go with a 2407, a 2506, a 2208, because I fly the frickin' iFlight Sedora SL5E. I believe those are 2207s on there. With RPM filtering, it flies really freaking good. Flies really freaking good. So I said, you know what? We're not going to use those motors. In fact, I'm not sure we're going to do another run of them because it's so freaking expensive. And if I'm not going to use them on my Perfect Freestyle build, I mean, I know there are people out there who like them. There's other great 2407, 2208 motors out there. I'm not sure we're going to do another run of them. So then, now what? Now I'm kind of screwed because I hadn't even thought about motors. Now what motors should I use? So people are suggesting Kebab's motors. I have thought about those. Kebab has these new motors, the Imperial motors. Let's see. 5-inch motor. He won't say the size. He just calls it the 5-inch motor. There's the Imperial and the Standard. And they're basically two different OEMs. One is a little higher quality. One is a little less expensive. Same performance. 32 grams. So, If I say, you know what, I'm not going to put my own motor on my own build because I want a lighter motor, and then I put a motor that weighs the same. Yeah, see, look, so here's 33 grams. 33 grams, which is a fine weight for a 2208, but I'm probably not going to pick the FPV cycle with 32 grams. I probably would rather go with something lighter. This is a little bit of a chunker motor. I'm just not convinced that you need a motor bigger than like 2306 or 2207 for a 5-inch quad today. That's, I guess, what I'm saying. I don't know. What do you think in the chat? Maybe 2306.5. Maybe. I definitely think that there are some performance differences. Mr. J.D. Chambers says, I love my 2507s on the Nerk Banggood. Yeah. 2208. I'm just tired of quads being so freaking heavy. Newbie Drone Flow are good motors. I thought the bells were a little bit less durable than I would have liked. I felt like I broke the bells more than I thought I ought to. That's just a gut feel. 2207.5. I'm feeling like 2207 or 2207.5 is where I'm going to end up. And I was talking to Bob Rugi about this, Kebab, and he was like, oh man, the performance on larger motors is so much better. And I'm like, is it? Is it? Copter 612 says you don't need larger motors, you need wider motors. It's about girth. Yeah. I've always been a guy who liked motors with a little more performance high in the throttle. I might end up with a 2306. I think that for most people, a 2306 is a better motor than a 2207. Bryce Hamola says, what about Tommy? Tommy's motor is a T-mount, isn't it? It's definitely light. The Aerolite 2004. I'm not sure. There's the Omegod Hex 2306. 1777 kV for 6S. The Hex motor. How much does it weigh? That's the first thing. Weight with wires, 32 grams. How's a freaking 2306 32 grams? I guess that's with wires. That's a little heavier. That's not that different from my 2208. RC and Power. That's a good one. RC and Power makes great motors. Let's see what we got here. What size? The Smooks 2306. 2207.5. No. 2306. Weight 33 grams. Give me a break. I'm going to weigh one of my motors and see if the weight is accurate. 31 grams for the, yeah. 33.5 for mine. I don't know. I gotta think about it. I mean, I know that you can get 2306 motors down in the 28, 29 gram range. What about the T-Motor F40? I mean, I'll buy a T-Motor F40. Sure, why not? That's the Pro 3. What about the Pro 4? Hello? No, come on. T-Motor F40 Pro 4. Stop with the giveaway. Weight, 30.8 grams. Yeah, so that's 3 grams per motor lighter than my 2208. Anyway. Probably got to actually weigh them, since that does say including the cable. So that's going to get them down somewhat. I got to think about it. Anyway, that's what I'm thinking about. The Pro 40 is 30 grams, says William King. Yeah. I got to think about it. I like those motors. Here's the thing. I like those motors, but my 2208, obviously I like them. I just am not convinced that you need a bigger motor for a 5-inch prop today. That's the bottom line. And my experience, I know I already said this, I'm just going to recap. My experience flying the iFlight Sedora SL5E, like, it used to be you needed a big torquey motor to get good prop wash handling. You don't need it anymore. Will a bigger motor give you, like, better response? Maybe. But I'd rather shave a couple grams, and I just feel like 2306, 2207, they just get it done. Anyway, let's talk about something else. Valerie 2000, thank you for 400 rubles. Greetings from Russia. First time watching you online. Thank you for your many brilliant videos. Thank you, Valerie. Todd Tube, thanks for $5. Are there any difference in the Radiomaster Max versus the Radiomaster Color other than the colors? Todd Tube, I'm not 100% sure, but there's more to the Max than just the colored metal pieces. There's the screen is upgraded. I think it's an IPS screen. The plastic of the case is more robust. I'm not sure about the gimbals. I do think a lot of people the color is what's going to jump out to people, though. Robert Holland, thanks for $5. Will you be doing JB Motors 2.0? I don't know, Robert Holland. My goal with the JB Motor 1.0 was that there was a specific type of 2407 motor that I wanted, and the company that was making it went out of business and didn't make it anymore. So I said to Get FPV, can you try to make me a motor that is similar to this? I'm not in that position right now. I feel like I know that, and I feel I kind of feel like I'm worried I'm going to turn out to be wrong here, because when you got guys like Bob Ruge saying bigger motors, wider motors are desirable for 5-inch, they fly so good. For me to go, 2306 is probably fine. I feel like I should shut up and just listen to what Bob is saying. But when I fly, that's just the experience that I have. And if a 2306 motor is the right motor for my quad, there is no reason for me to put out a JB motor. What would I be bringing to the equation that 1,000 other people haven't done better? There are so many great 2306 motors. I am not going to... I guarantee you there is one out there that will suit me, and I will just use it. I'm not going to just put a motor out with my name on it just because. So... Chrysostomos Divaktas, thank you for $5 Australian. I'm working on a sub 257 inch. No, you're not. Shut up. What are the smallest motors I can put on it that can spin a 7-inch prop? Just call me Chris. I don't think it's possible to build a sub 257 inch. I don't think that's possible. You can just barely build a sub 255 inch. I guess the answer to your question is the smallest motor I would put on a 7-inch is like a 2306, 2206, 2207. I don't think you could go much smaller. I mean, if you're going to have a low kV, a smaller motor might get it done, but the problem is that when the motor is very small, you're going to have a huge amount of current flowing to try to change the speed of the motor. Yuldur in the Discord confirms 2206 can work with a 7-inch. You're going to want to keep the RPMs way down, because as soon as you start pushing the throttle or pushing the motor to change speed quickly, your flight time is going to go way down. So the smallest motor that can reliably spin a 7-inch, I would say 2206. And Yuldur in the chat is agreeing with me, but yikes, not for any kind of performance flying, for just slow cruising. RC and Power Wasp motor. What do they weigh? 30.5 grams. Oh, that's respectable. With 3 centimeters of wire. 22.6.6 2020 kV. It's a weird spec. That's a good looking motor. $24 is not bad. kV 1860, 2020, and 2420. Interesting. 2020 kV on 6S. That's fascinating. Interesting. That's a 5S motor, but you could run it on 6S. RC and Power Wasp. Interesting. Brother Hobby had a 2004 motor on a 7-inch quad. Says Cynix. Boy, oof, that's something. I don't know. 2004. Wow. Am I going to review the Cobra X, Michael Bibby? Yes. Bob92553 says, would it be better to up my patron or do a super chat? Up your patron for sure, Bob. Patreon takes like 6%. Super chat takes like 30%. And Patreon, there's a chance you'll forget to turn it down next month, and you'll just keep paying me. So. It's Blunty sharing some quality memeage. Thank you, It's Blunty. Cyclimbo says, super light 7-inch is super hard to fly worthwhile. I have tried. So I agree with Cyclimbo. I will never be a person to tell someone not to follow their dreams, but I don't think a sub 257 inch is worth trying. I think that you will give up way, way, way too much to get there, and you'll have a quad that just flies like crap. Shadow Walker wants to know, why don't we build pusher style quads? What are the drawbacks? Pusher style quads, the props are facing down instead of facing up, and there are some advantages. Some people say there's more efficiency if the arm is blocking the incoming flow as opposed to the outgoing flow. I think there's some truth to that. But having the props upside down means you need landing gear, and most racing drones and so forth don't have landing gear. 661 FPV says, Hype Train motors are dead because Rotor Riot was making them, right? Rotor Riot still makes motors. I mean, do you mean the OG Hype Train Freestyle? They may not. I don't know if they still make the original one. No, here's the Hype Train Freestyle V2. That's the original one right there. It's even in stock. Oh my god. What a thing. How about that? The Hype Train Acro. That used to be the Stingy motor. Good times. Mohawks FPV, thanks for a $10 super chat. Can I or should I update the firmware on a Daitone F722 from 4.16 to 4.2? If you're happy with how it flies, is it built into a quad? If it's brand new and you haven't built it into a quad, yeah, totally update it. But if it's a ready-to-fly quad or a bind-and-fly quad and you're happy with how it flies, I would probably just leave it. Like, it's got a PID tune on it. It's flying how you like it. I've got quads back there with 4.1 on them, and I just take them out and fly them. And if I ever replace the flight controller, I'll probably update it to 4.2, but yeah. I would, if it was a brand new flight controller, then I would update it to 4.2 totally. There's no reason not to. Jacob Booth, thanks for a $5 super chat. Dalton Foster, thanks for a $5 super chat. I have a bunch of brand new 3S 450 mAh batteries. Do you have any 450 mAh? Some people hate when you say mAh instead of milliamp hours. Lucky guy, I'm not flying Mr. Steel motors on my perfect freestyle build. They could be the best motors in the freaking world. I'm just not freaking doing it. You understand that? You understand why? Mr. Steel's motors go on Mr. Steel's builds. My perfect freestyle build is not having Mr. Steel motors on it. Sorry. Like, I don't want to sound petty. I could not look myself in the mirror. You know the best motors out there are? They're Mr. Steel's motors. I mean, they are lightweight. I've heard about people having some problems with certain ESCs. I think if you look at the... Do me a favor. And this is, by the way, okay, so I'm going to say this, and it's going to sound like I'm taking a shot at Mr. Steel. And I feel bad about that because I don't want people to think we're making beef. So I'm going to say it about myself. 2. You look at the JB 2208 motor, and you look at the Mr. Steel motor. See, I'm not taking a shot at him. I'm taking a shot at me. 2. You look at the specs for those motors, and you compare them to other motors out there, like the iFlight motors, like the RCN Powers, and you look at what those motors bring to the table versus their price. And this is another reason that I was like, I just don't feel good putting out a motor with my name on it. Because titanium shaft, my motor didn't have a titanium shaft. Japanese NSK ZMR bearings, mine didn't have that. They did, my point is that I kept asking myself, I mean, I like my motors. They were the 2407 and the 2208. When I first made those motors, 2208, there weren't a lot of 2208 motors. There were basically no 2407s. That's not true anymore. You could spend $22. You could spend $18 maybe. I don't know what the exact price is. And you could get a motor that on paper beats my motor. Somewhere out there, there's a $22 motor that has a titanium shaft, has ZMR bearings, has 7075 aluminum instead of the 60 whatever alloy, the softer alloy. It has all these features, and on paper just beats it. And I'm like, I should buy that motor. And before you say, well, it's just that's because of your cut. You were getting such a big cut. I really wasn't. I mean, I'm not complaining. I got as much as I asked for, but I just don't ask for a giant royalty on any product. I have a small royalty that I ask for, and then they make the product for me, and then I make one video about it, and I never mention it again. And I take a tiny, I think compared, I mean, I don't know, but I think compared to some other people, I take a relatively small royalty. But the trade-off is that I just want you to make the product for me. I am not going to shill for it. I'm probably going to put it on my website. I'm going to make 1 or 2 videos about it, then I'm just never going to mention it again. I'm going to get on with my life. So no, I just wasn't sure. Yeah. And that's the same. I think it's the same for the steel motors too. I think that if you look at the actual specs for the motor, I think that there's cheaper motors with better specs. So, anyway, That was one of my motivations for not being like, yeah, let's make another run of the motor. Of my motor. Anyway. Jacob Booth, thanks for 99 cents. Eric Toft, thanks for 666, because after YouTube's cut, this is $5. Buy Patreon and join us for the smart people in the Discord. Yeah. Yeah, that was, and to be fair, I want to be fair to Get FPV. Like I said, when we first made my motor, there weren't a lot of other motors out there, like great motors with great specs. There weren't a ton of them out there, especially in the 2407 size. And so I was like, you know what? I'm putting something out there that is somewhat unique, and that justifies, you know, we're like, well, it's a little more expensive, but it's a big motor. It's a 2407, so it costs a little more to make. Okay. But you look at it today, and it's just not true. There's gobs of great 2208 motors, like the iFlight Zing motors. 2208, like $22. And with specs that just put my motor to shame. And to be fair, I went back to Get FPV and I said, look, is there something we can do about this? And they said, yeah, we can figure it out. So they were willing to address that, but I just didn't feel like with the weight of the motor and the performance of 2306 and so forth motors today, I just didn't feel like it was something I wanted to go forward with. Titanium, let's see what's on this motor. This is a 2306, but this Zing motor. Unibell design. Got a bearing that helps to eliminate vibration and absorb shocks. Let's see. What is it? A titanium shaft? 7075 aluminum. Doesn't say the bearing. Titanium shaft. Yeah. Doesn't say the bearing. I think they have Japanese bearings or NSK bearings. Or maybe ZMR bearings. Anyway. Yeah. Unibell. Beantime. Unibell means that the bell has been milled out of a single piece of aluminum. Typically the way motor bells work is you'll have a cylindrical ring, and then you'll mill the top part of the bell, and the ring will be joined to the bell. And there's a potential, and also a lot of times in that case, the ring will be steel, but it can also be aluminum. That joint where the wall of the bell comes together with the top can be a weak spot. So a Unibell design is much more expensive to make because they have to mill the entire bell out of a single piece of aluminum as opposed to using a cylinder. But the Unibell motors are much stronger. Anyway. What would you recommend as a replacement motor for the JB, says T. Simon. If you're flying the 2208, there's lots of great 2208 motors today. 2407 is a little bit more of an obscure size. A lot of people who would fly a 2407 are actually going to even bigger motors, like 2506 or something. So if you're flying the 2407s, I'm not sure off the top of my head. If you're looking for a 2208, the iFlight Zing 2208 is a great choice, and so on. Mike Bergman says the ring has to be steel. Mike, tell me if I'm wrong here, Mike. Some motors do have an aluminum sidewall, but then they'll have a steel flux ring on the inside, right? Many motors will not do just a steel ring as the wall. I'm not sure about that. Alexander Romanenko, a day at the range in the channel is just trolling. He said as much. So. Yuldur, I am looking for replaceable arms for my perfect freestyle build. I'm not looking for a unibody. The stator is steel, not the bell, says 661 FPV. Yes. But also there's a flux ring in the bell, isn't there? I think there is. Buddy Boy 4774 says, "Good evening, Joshua. I'm wanting to get my second drone that can fly in aero mode. I want to build a drone. Any suggestions for what I should get? Can Emax goggles connect to any drone?" So Emax goggles, they're 5 gigahertz, 5.8 gigahertz analog goggles. They can connect to any, they can receive the signal from any 5.8 gigahertz video transmitter, which is what most quads are going to be using. So yeah. You want to build a drone? Obviously, I'm going to suggest Get FPV, the JB budget build. I'll just mention that real quick. This is a bundle, drone build bundle, and I have a full build tutorial for it. I think it's a great choice for your first build. The idea is that I take you through all the steps of the build, one step at a time. So 661 FPV says, if there was a steel flux ring on an outrunner motor, it would make all the north and south magnets the same polarity. I don't know what to tell you about that. I mean, I'm certainly not a guy who designs motors, as you can tell by the fact that I don't know the answer. Like, I know for sure my motor has a steel ring on the outside, which is the electroplated part that's colored. Because if it was aluminum, they'd be anodizing it. Isn't it? Isn't that? Maybe that's not true. Maybe it's not steel. Maybe it's electroplated aluminum, but it was the purple color that they couldn't anodize. I'm not sure about that. Oh well. The best thing to do when you're ignorant is to shut up, and I'm going to do that right now about that one topic. Yeah, I think it's steel, Mike. What about that newbie drone motor that has the solid magnet ring? Asks 507RC. The newbie drone motor with a single piece magnet, the magnet still has 14 positive and negative poles. It's just they are molded into a single piece of magnetic material as opposed to being individual magnets. Bells have to be steel, says Skadoosh. I mean, the top of the bell is aluminum. Big arguments here. I'm sorry, I wish I knew the answer. I'm supposed to be the guy here who knows the answers, but I don't actually know the answer about this one. Let's talk about this. Can I show you guys this? This is I used to say every month, but it's been more than a month since my last one. Every so often, I do a new t-shirt design featuring an artist, an FPV artist. This one is by Melanie Escriva, and it is the Power Loop to the Moon t-shirt. This is for sale on my Teespring shop. There are several different versions. My favorite version is this all-over print version, which has the power looping quad going over the shoulder and then around the back. This is the back view. I think it's pretty slick. I really like this design. It's also available in a regular design, not an all-over design, with just the Power Loop to the Moon logo. And that has just gone up on my store if you want to pick it up. It's on my Teespring store. There's several other items there on the store as well, if you want to check them out. View store. Hello. There we go. Including the last design, this broken arm design, this all-over print broken arm is pretty freaking cool. And, other things. So definitely check that out. And thank you to Melanie Escriva for making this design. Stu Pedasso says, I feel like that needs Stinger Swarm's face on it. Melanie's original design had a power loop, you know, like the power button from a VCR or whatever. And I said, we can't do that. Stinger Swarm already has a t-shirt with that power loop on it. And as far as I know, he came up with it. And if I don't think she copied, or is Melanie a she? I'm not 100% sure. I don't think Melanie copied it, but we can't use it. So we intentionally didn't use that because Stingy, it kind of felt like Stingy owned it. Z Carazales, I think your answer is right. The stator is laminated electric steel, and there is ferritin flux ring to redirect the magnetic flux. The bells can be aluminum. I'm pretty sure you're right there. I'm pretty sure that motor bells are aluminum, like that the outside of the motor bell is aluminum, but that I've heard about them having a steel flux ring on the bell. I don't know what that is. But I think you're right there. Ghost Branch FPV confirms that Melanie is a she. Nathan Hack has been trying to get me to answer this damn question the whole live stream. How do you make your 5-inch more locked in feel? And now that I've acknowledged him, I'm going to move on. Because I just enjoy seeing him repeatedly ask the question and ignoring him. Ha ha! Take that, Nathan! No. More locked in feel, I would say raise P gain or raise feed forward. I'd probably start with feed forward because P gain could screw up other aspects of the quad's handling, but feed forward is likely to sharpen up the feel without having too many negative effects. Try raising feed forward. Eric LaPlante wants to know, are 4-in-1 amp ratings an average rating for each motor? Yeah, so if you buy a Hobbywing 60 amp 4-in-1, that's 60 amps per ESC, or 60 times 4 is the total. So if you're buying 60 amp 4-in-1 and you want to switch to individual ESCs, you would buy 60 amp individuals, although it's going to be hard to find them in that size. ZFPV rightly points out locked in is such an arbitrary term. Yeah, that is true. But most of the time, what people mean when they say locked in, I think it's a sharper stick feel, and feed forward gives you that. Ghost Branch FPV, Melanie is a really common female name in the U.S. I just don't assume that when I'm dealing with foreign names that the assumptions are the same. So, Melanie, you know, there are some names in, you know, French, for example, that kind of read as if they were feminine names in the USA, but they're actually masculine names. So I just didn't know. I just didn't want to assume. How do I make my 5-inch more pitted? So pitted. Yeah. Well, you want to make your 5-inch more pitted, bro? Here's what you got to do, bro. You just got to take your 5-inch, just take it out there. Just got to find that wave. You just got to put your flight controller up on the, just like, pwah, 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 just drop in, flip the arm switch, take off, fly up to the moon, flip over, just pwah, 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 pwah. So pitted. A Calabrese 221 wants to know if they can program the Tango 2 momentary switches to be 2-position switches. Calabrese, I think you could do it because OpenTX is so programmable. I bet that you could trick OpenTX into do like a latching 2-position where you click it once and it goes one way, you click it again, it goes the other way. Now, how to do that? I would just have to start trying to do it and then figure it out. But I bet you could do it with like sticky switches and I don't know. You guys need to look up Get Pitted if you don't know the reference. Get Pitted is a classic meme. It's a classic meme. I really didn't do it justice, to be honest with you. You know, I don't want to make a big deal out of it, but tonight's also my birthday. I actually just thought of that. I kept forgetting to mention it. I am now. Guess in the chat how old I am. How old am I in the chat? Mr. J.D. Chambers says, one of my motors spins much easier than the other three, like the magnets are weaker. I haven't noticed any negative effects at all. I probably wouldn't worry about it. It may be the ESC. If the ESC is shorting the two phases together, that could be it. But if you don't notice any problems while you're flying, I probably wouldn't worry about it. All right. There is no prize for guessing correctly. There is no prize. I am going to tell you what the answer is in just a minute. $69. That is the correct answer. I'm here to tell you that tonight is my birthday. I am 69, 420 years old. The correct answer is 46. I was born in 1975. Thank you, Trail Features, for a $5 super chat. Old enough to know better, young enough not to care. If only. Cynix, thank you for $5 Canadian. Am I 38? I am not. I am 46. 46. Wait. 1975. 46. And now you know my birthday, so get ready to commence to steal my identity. The last 4 digits of my social security number are none of your business. How old is Joshua Bardwell? The answer's not there. How old is Joshua Bardwell? Interesting. Just nothing. Oh! Oh! Ho! 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 This thing thinks it knows. Let's find out. Joshua Bardwell is an American YouTube channel that has a net worth of 153. What does that even mean? What does that even mean? The net worth of my channel? What does that even mean? The following earnings are estimations of how much he's made in advertising revenue. Let's see. Let me see how close that is. Let's see here. Hang on. $65. Yesterday I made $74 according to this. Let's see if that's true. 74 times, let's say 30. That is not correct. But I'm not going to tell you which way it is. Fatboy FPV says, I think somebody posted your house address on my Bando Spot map. My house address isn't really a secret. I've had events at my house, for example. There are people who say I should not have made my address public because, like, people who hate me will send me pizzas or worse. But that's just, it just is what it is. Pardon me. Huff19 FPV, thanks for a $20 super chat. Happy birthday, JB, from the boys at Eldo. Your next 12 pack of Sierra Nevadas on us. Thank you, Huff19. Randall PW, thanks for $5 super chat. Happy birthday. I've been binging your videos for a few weeks now. Thanks for the great videos. Thank you very much. Cyclimbo, thanks for $10. Happy birthday. Eric says, Eric Toft says, I want a hater to send me pizza. Sounds yummy. You would think that, Eric. The first time somebody sent me a prank pizza, I was like, yeah, okay, and I paid the guy for the pizza. I was like, whatever, I'll eat a pizza. I don't know, haha, guys. they had thought of that. The pizza was, I don't remember, but it was like Alfredo sauce with pineapple and green olives. It was, and I tried a bite of it because I was tempted to just eat it out of spite and be like, ha, I ate the pizza and I enjoyed it. Screw you, prankster. But it was really, really bad. And then after that, I just started telling the guys, I just leave my gate closed. They call from the gate and they're like, hey, we have a pizza for you. And I'm like, we didn't order a pizza. I'm sorry, it's a prank. And I just send them away. And they figure it out. So. I have gotten random pizzas. There have been some ruder pranks than random pizzas. But most of them have been pizzas. The cruelest thing anyone ever did was they sent a taxi to come to my house. So a freaking taxi driver shows up. And, like, I don't live near the center of town. So I don't know how far he had to drive from wherever he was when he went to pick me up. But he was like, I'm here. Your taxi's here. And I was like, sorry, dude. I didn't order a taxi. Somebody's pranking you. I felt really bad for the guy. But there you go. Yeah. I don't know why you guys keep asking me about my BattleBot. Siati said something about me and BattleBots. I don't know anything about that. I'm sorry. I am not making a BattleBot, and I don't know if Siati's making a BattleBot. I don't know anything about it. So. Ben T, thanks for a $10 super chat. My birthday was the 21st. Thank you for $10, Ben. Happy birthday. Anthony Echevarria, thanks for $5 super chat. Does your older son have any interest in flying FPV? Not really. Not really. He's flown a little bit in the sim and a little bit with like a tiny whoop, but for the most part, he's just not that interested. He likes RC cars. Beantime says, what about the newbie drone Hummingbird Pro? You have it listed as the best or your favorite tiny whip on your website, but I haven't seen a video on it. Are you sure about that? Hang on. I mean, maybe you're right. Not everything that I list on the website I have personally reviewed. This is the Hummingbird, but not the Hummingbird Pro. Okay. This is the Hummingbird. So not everything on the website have I done a review on, and that's kind of the point of the website. I originally started the website because there were products that I felt comfortable recommending, but I just don't have time to review every single good product that's out there. So I haven't reviewed the Hummingbird Pro, apparently, but I feel comfortable recommending it based on my experience with it and or based on the recommendations of people whose opinion I have come to trust. So that's what I would say about that. How do you get a BattleBot more battled? Ryan Koo, what's the best budget build for beginners that want to mount a GoPro? You know what I'm going to say as the answer to that. It's the JB budget build over on GetFPV. No. Shh. Yankees. This one. There you go. This one. Brad Anderson says, it was just a big joke. I'm still shocked people think the BattleBot fund is real. Okay, so did Siati make like a kind of a joke about building a BattleBot? I see. Siati said once he gets his health insurance paid for a few years, he's going to build a BattleBot, which is a joking way of saying that probably he won't have his health insurance paid for a long time, and he's never going to build a BattleBot. I see. Keith Moore, thank you for a $10 super chat. I'm trying to get Ghost to work with an Alien Whoop 0. Both are in S-Bus mode, but the flight controller does not recognize that it has a bound receiver. Oh, Keith, that's a tough one. So an Alien Whoop it's running Silverware, right? It's not running Betaflight. Are you sure that Ghost is outputting inverted S-Bus versus uninverted S-Bus? And what about fast S-Bus? When Ghost is outputting S-Bus, it's just outputting S-Bus. At that point, I would need to configure the Alien Whoop. But how do you configure the Alien Whoop? Yeah. I don't have a specific suggestion for you there, Keith, because I don't have a ton of experience with the Alien Whoop boards. When I set up the Newbie Drone Silverware board, it was tough to troubleshoot the receiver not working. At first, the receiver didn't work, and I didn't know what to say about that or do about that because there's very little troubleshooting. You just have to connect the receiver to the right place. It turned out the problem was that the receiver was outputting inverted S-Bus. 661 FPV says Ghost uses Spectrum SRXL2, right? Ghost can output SRXL2. It can output S-Bus, fast S-Bus, inverted S-Bus. Ghost can output several, and of course Ghost protocol. It can output several different protocols. Fatboy FPV says he ran into the same issue with Silverware. Did you get it working? I mean, 661 FPV, you can force Ghost to output several different protocols. Hang on one second. I'm going to turn off the heater that's down under my feet. It gets cold down in my basement in the winter. I have a heater under my desk, but it's getting a little warm down there. Nick Hayes says, have you seen the Hobby Wing 200 amp ESC? It's got 8mm bullet connectors and 8 AWG battery wires. Holy crap. Let's have a look at that. That's not it. Is that it? Is this it? Do you think the Wasp 2020 is a good motor for 6S? RC and Power makes great motors. I would bet on that motor being a great motor. Is this the ESC? Not sure about that. I don't think so. I think that's an airplane ESC. I'm obviously not finding it. Yeah, that's not the ESC we're talking about. But I'm obviously not finding the correct ESC. Oh, Nick Hayes says that's the one. It's not made for quads, but I'm considering it. How are you going to put that ESC on a multi-rotor? What are you going to use it for? Nick Hayes, car ESCs are typically made for censored motors. Oh, you are going to use it for RC cars. Is that right? Well, I mean, if you're going to put it on a monster, yeah, I guess it would be great for a truck. Daltz is suggesting, Keith Moore, Daltz is suggesting you try uninverted S-Bus and then try set the output map to AETR. T. Simon says, my wife won't let me hang quads on my wall. She claims they're not art. How do I convince her otherwise? Tell her that art is in the eye of the beholder. And, you know, you're both grown-ass adults and can do what you want. That is going to come back to bite you later when she wants to do something you don't want her to do. But relationships should not be about domination. It should be about compromise and coming together to solve problems together. So if you really want to hang them on the wall, like, does she really hate it that much that she can't find a way to work with you? But remember, that goes both ways. It goes both ways. Compromise isn't even the right word, is it? Compromise suggests that you have a fundamental disagreement, and then you will both kind of give up a little bit until you find something that is sort of mutually distasteful. My wife does a whole bunch of shit around the house that I wouldn't do if I were living by myself. One of the things she does is exist in my space, which I kind of like. So, you know, the value of having the other person be there as an independent adult has to be more than the value of having something on the wall that you don't like. Which hopefully it is, since you're married. Why are you trying to hang them on the wall, Mike? Mike Bemilier asks. Yeah. I realize I'm not really addressing the exact question you asked. I'm just telling you to reshuffle the entire structure of your marriage. But if you think about it, that will solve all your other problems. Maybe create some new ones, but there you go. Having a relationship not based on domination of the other person sounds like a good idea until they get up to stuff that you really don't want them doing. And then you really have to figure out if you believe in that or not. What do you mean my relationship is about domination? That's not what it's about. We just fight all the time about what we're allowed to do. I'll be starting a new channel with marriage relationship tips. Like, surely there's a room in the house you could hang them in where she wouldn't have to look at them as a compromise. Right? Surely. The other thing you can do is use the 3M command hooks. The advantage of the 3M command hooks is they are a non-permanent. The 3M tape comes off. And so, like, if she's worried about you drilling holes in the wall or something, yeah, Eirik is doing it. This is not exactly how I do mine, but it's similar. These 3M command hooks are really good because they come off the wall later with no damage. So if she's worried about you drilling holes and stuff, you use these. And if she kicks you out or you get out of the hobby, then you don't have a bunch of holes in your walls. So. Anyway. Scratch the wall and say the quad will cover it up. Thank you, Evan Bourgeois, for a $2 super chat. Brad Anderson, thank you for a $5 super chat. Happy birthday, sir. I've been watching you for a year now, and I wouldn't have gotten as close to flying without your help. Thank you. License to Drive says he uses powerful magnets that the motor bolts stick to. That's very clever, actually, License to Drive. That's very clever. You could call it a compromise. You could call it a compromise. Because you're not getting... anytime you could say that anytime you're not getting exactly what you want, you've compromised. I just feel like the word compromise has some connotations that I don't like. I don't know. Let's see here. Is my original Betaflight 4.2 series still up to date? Yes. What about your PidTune series? Yes. No. Jean-Luc's edits. If you mean my old PidTuning 101, no, that's not really up to date at all. I'm not sure I'm going to take it off the internet because, like, I don't know. But if you're looking to PidTune Betaflight 4.2, I suggest this. PidTuning, Betaflight 4.2 in-depth PidTune featuring iFlight Sedora SL5E. That is the beginning of every PidTune that I do. Couldn't magnets mess with the motors after a while? GB7000. I don't know about that, GB7000. I guess in theory, the motor magnets could become magnetized themselves. And maybe that would affect in some way the motor's performance. I don't know about that. Here's how to get your wife to let you put your quads on the wall. Leave your quads scattered all over the house. And she'll be like, will you get these quads out of the freaking living room? And you'll be like, well, if you'd only just let me hang them on the wall, they would not be in the way anymore. That's a thought. Alex Klein, you're absolutely right. The other place you could check out is The UAVtech.com, which is Mark Spatz's website, a lot of in-depth tutorials about PID tuning. Yeah. If you want to know what I do to start, it's this. It's gone. It's this. Yeah, this video. When do you think the DJI V2 goggles will actually be available? Jose Pilar Cesares. I'm not allowed to say. I know I know the date that they think they'll be available, and I'm not allowed to say what it is. And perhaps it will change between now and then. So there's no answer there. If you got orders in to a store during that one day when they were available, the stores are saying that they plan to fulfill the orders. I don't know what that means for people who didn't get an order in. License to Drive thinks it might be after the Chinese New Year holiday on the 12th. I'll tell you, if they don't get them out before, it certainly won't be until after. That's for sure. Yikes. Yikes. This video started playing. Holy crap. Was it spring when I did this? Wow. Look at this. Look how frickin' green and grassy and frickin' can't believe it. Wow. Also underexposed. Is it me or is that underexposed? There you go. Wow. Come on, spring. I'll tell you what. You sure don't have to mow in the winter, but yikes. How about that? It's a jungle out there. RC Ritter FPV says the DJI goggles have to be in stateside warehouses already. Otherwise, how would these guys be fulfilling them? Yeah, good question. Good point. Just a question on when they think they're going to fulfill them. Remember, It's Blunty said that dealers were supposed to place orders with Cadex. So the goggles are being imported through Cadex, according to It's Blunty, not according to me. He said that dealers would have to place orders by like January 5th, I think. If that was true, then you would expect dealers to have stock within 2 or 3 weeks of that. Yeah. Eddie Nunez wants to know, do you add ND filters on your GoPro? Sometimes, yes. Do you worry about locking the exposure? No, because I don't lock the exposure. So I lock the ISO, but I don't lock the shutter speed, because if you lock the shutter speed, you are guaranteed to be over or underexposed at some point in your flight. And the reason for that is that whenever you're flying a quadcopter, maybe if you were flying indoors with a Cinewhoop, the lighting would be consistent enough. But when you're flying outdoors, you go under the trees and above the trees, and that's going to be 5 stops of difference, maybe more. There is no way. You have to have auto exposure on if you're flying a typical freestyle flight. So you have to let either the shutter speed or the ISO slip. I do not lock the exposure for that very reason. There's people who are wondering whether the reason DJI yanked the V2 goggle back after one day of release was people being annoyed, was people being thinking that they were not very good and being disappointed in them. I don't personally think that's true. Just based on the nature and timing of the communications that I got, I'm not going to reveal the communications, but my gut feeling is that somebody, because this stuff was leaked a long time ago, and now we're starting to come up against Chinese New Year, and it's still not here. And the V1 goggles were cut off sometime like in October, maybe even before. So there's been this huge drought where V1 goggles are not available. And then all of a sudden, somebody at DJI went, let's just sell the V2 goggle already. And then somebody else went, what, are you crazy? I really feel like it was just an internal miscommunication. That I could be wrong. I don't get the impression that DJI would make decisions like that based on the fact that some people on the internet were like, I don't like these goggles. I don't know. I feel like it was a weird decision for them to make in the first place, because why would they release just the goggles? But that's just my read on it. I could be wrong. Brandon J., I don't know whether the V1 goggles will have the USB video out. We know that the V1 goggles can do USB video out to the DJI Smart Controller. And the DJI Smart Controller is just an Android tablet. That's all it is. So I don't see why there is any technical reason why the DJI goggle, the V1 goggle, could not do USB video out to a smartphone, except that DJI just hasn't made it possible. I don't know whether they plan to do that or whether there is a technical reason why they couldn't. Can they go back and put some OLEDs on them? Or is it too late for that? It's too late for that, Huff 19. Way too late for that. It is the development cycle on a product like this. They don't just go, let's slap some OLED goggles in there. I would guess that they're probably already in manufacturing, but certainly if they're not in manufacturing, they're way too far along in the development process to change the screens. I would love for them to release an OLED version of the goggle. I would totally buy it. And by buy it, I mean I would ask them to send me one for review. Or maybe I'd buy it. But I would really hope that they did that. But I don't think that they have. What's going on with the Sharkbite VTXs? We can't get them anywhere. Calibrated 221. I don't know. Check Rotor Riot. If anybody's going to get them, it's Rotor Riot, right? Now that Red Cat owns Rotor Riot. Jeez. Should probably check. FPV drones. No. Drone parts and equipment. Video. They got DJI components. Where's the Sharkbite components? Come on. You're not shilling hard enough. Rotor Riot, shill harder. Shill harder. Out of stock for the, yeah. I mean, they are selling the Sharkbite CL1, which is also on pre-order. Never mind. Nobody has them. No one knows. Alex Klein says Rotor Riot was flying Sharkbite in their newest video. That is correct. I mean, they do exist in the world, but I don't think they're for sale anywhere. Swami on PC says, the Xylo build, I connect to the camera the way you did it in the video. It works well. What's with the video you made recently? Swamian, if you're using 4S, then the video I made doesn't apply to you. Only if you're using 6S. 661 FPV says, I wonder if the higher resolution DJI camera will only be available on the DJI Quad or if it'll be available for FPV guys. 661 FPV, they have not announced any, they haven't leaked any new air unit or Vista, right? Think about that. If there was a new air unit or Vista in the pipeline, there would be FCC papers filed. Remember, there was FCC filings for the goggle, the controller, and the drone, right? If there was a new air unit or a Vista, there would have been an FCC filing for it. So we can safely assume there is no evidence of a new air unit or Vista. That means that whatever, it's not like, I mean, are they going to like unlock a higher resolution in a firmware update? I mean, I guess I couldn't rule that out. I mean, DJI has unlocked a whole bunch of features via firmware update, like the 50 meg mode, but there's no evidence of new hardware. So 661 FPV says, so FPV pilots, right? No, not at all. First of all, DJI has been amazingly generous to FPV pilots over the last year. They have done, I mean, I'm not just like trying to suck up here. Think about it. 50 meg mode. Pretty nice. Analog DVR recording. They didn't used to have that. Fixing the latency of the analog. They didn't have to do that. there have been a whole bunch of things they've done for FPV pilots that they didn't have to do. It feels to me like they put the firmware updates on hold while they were working on this new product, and hopefully after the new product comes out, there'll be more updates and more stuff. But just because they didn't also give us like a whole bunch of other things, I don't think we should be ungrateful. They've given us a ton of things over the last year or so, and you know, they probably are going to give us more in the future, I hope. It's like for the last year they've been just giving you cake and candy and pizza, and then one time somebody else gets a steak and they don't offer you a bite, and you're like, yeah, oh, screw me, huh? It's like, hold on, just this once somebody else is getting something. Watch them just straight up abandon it, says Aber the Ham. Everybody's waiting for GGI to drop the other shoe and screw us over. Maybe they will, but they haven't yet, and they've had many opportunities. So let's not forget also that Brendan Schulman was very much sticking up for hobbyists in the FCC committees. So we'll have to see. Israel Castellan, thank you for a $60 super chat. That's an incredibly generous super chat. If you were in the middle of a power loop or a flip and you lost orientation, would it be possible for iNav to save you by flipping your alt hold or GPS hold switch? I mean, Israel, there are people who use auto level as what they call it. They call it an oh shit switch or a bailout switch. If you're in the middle of a move and you lose orientation, you just flip the auto level switch and you flip into angle mode. You would have to do that manually, though, right? You would have to have a switch that you would pull in order to do that. iNav could totally do that, but I don't think iNav could do that for you. You would have to flip the switch. Ken Hicks, today is, in fact, really my birthday. Happy birthday to you. It's your birthday as well. Thank you for a $5 super chat. Locrian says that's also good for long-range pilots that lose signal and need to punch out. That is true. We shall see what the future holds for DJI and FPV pilots. We shall see. For now, I mean, when the DJI goggle was discontinued and people thought maybe DJI was getting out of the FPV space, I was like, oh crap, what if they're getting out of the FPV space? And then I was like, well, do you just like go, okay, I guess I'm buying Sharkbite now? Or do you like, I need to buy every air unit in existence so I can fly this stuff forever? I'm not actually sure which way it was, which way I would have gone. Swami on PC, what are good PIDs for smooth flight? I use the default PIDs. I thought the default PIDs were just fine. None of your business says, yeah, they give you stuff for free, but everybody else has to pay for it. Yeah, I know. What do you want to do, man? What do you want to do? It's my job. You know? I mean, the bouncer at the door to the strip club gets to look at the ladies for free all night too. Do you think it's, yeah, you know. Yes, I get the stuff for free. It's also just my job. So, Phantom FPV is here. Thank you for a $10 super chat. Good to see you, sir. Hope you're doing well. Haven't seen a ton of you. I'm sure you've been busy. Thank you. Happy birthday. Yeah, absolutely. Really appreciate your donation, and thanks for coming out, man. Oh, we got 5 minutes to the end of the stream. Flexing about free DJI products. Ew. It's just a joke. I just want to acknowledge it. You know. Yeah. Interesting analogy. Yeah, I know, right? Thank you, Gas Overload, for a $20 super chat. Do you know if the ESC used in your Apex HD build has a conformal coating under the heatsink? I would assume that it does, because I think they conformal coat all their stuff. I would not pull the heatsink up just to conformal coat it if it wasn't, but I think it was. License to drive. There is no Ciati stream tonight. Excuse me, I have a frog in my throat. Ciati's taking a little break from streaming. I'm sure he will let everybody know when he's back, but he's taking a little break right now. Talama42 has asked, how real is the reviewer's curse of getting really used to having the latest or greatest, but not getting the time to really just run what you love? There's some truth to that, Talama. I tend to be a little bit... I don't know how guys like Albert Kim keep up. I really don't. Albert Kim seems to me like he reviews 5 new products every week. Like, I don't actually know what his release schedule is, but he's just constantly reviewing every new thing. And I mean, people say Bardwell puts out a ton of videos. I don't know how he keeps up. I don't know how Albert Kim keeps up, because I put out a ton of videos, but not all of them are reviews. And so some of them will be little tutorials that I'll just do a quick tutorial or something. But there's so many new products, it just feels like my head would be spinning. I tend not to jump on the newest, like the Sky Zone Cobra goggles. I have them. I haven't even looked at them because I've been just busy working on other videos. I will get to them. So there's some truth to that, but maybe a little less for me than other people. When I find something that I like the HobbyMate D6 Duo, they're still right there on my... And you haven't seen me do a lot of charger reviews. And part of the reason is that I'm just happy with that charger. And I just don't... I'm like, every time I review a different charger, I kind of just want to say, yeah, but anyway, the HobbyMate D6 Duo is pretty good. If I have a product that's really working for me, I actually don't feel very motivated to review other products in that space, because I just am like, I'm just not that interested anymore. I mean, I still do it, but... Thank you, Brioctane FPV, for 10 Canadian dollars. Happy birthday, and thanks for all the advice and knowledge you have passed on. You've certainly helped get me in the air, and I love this hobby. Thank you very much. Slappy one as well. Thank you for a $10 super chat. Aerospace Inc. 53, thanks for $10. Have you flown Tracer yet? Yes. I fail safe before I lose video. Aerospace Inc. 53, you definitely need to update the Tracer to the firmware update that came out this week. They say there was a bug that was causing range to be shorter. So definitely. Also, they unlocked ludicrous power, which is like 1 watt of output power. So if you have any problems with the range of Tracer, you should do the firmware update and use the maximum power. Gas Overload, thanks for a $20 super chat. Do you know if the ESC... Oh, I already got that one. Thank you. Bryce Homola, thanks for a $15 super chat. Happy birthday. I got the Sky Zone Cobra X and I like them, but they're the only goggles I've used. How much better is DJI? So much better. Than analog? So much better. It's like the difference between 320p and 1080 or 720. Technically, it's 720. It's so much better. I mean, I'm sorry. It's just true. It's so much better. It's more expensive. It's not perfect. But I'm not going to like lie to you and be like, it's not that much better. You know, you'll probably find. It's way better. Phantom FPV has switched to Tracer. Flew ludicrous power yesterday a long way with trees, buildings, and all the things. No issues. The best analog you can get is nothing compared to DJI. It's just so much more resolution, image stability, etc. It's just better. I mean, you want to know how much better, get a set of goggles, put them on your face, but don't do that if you don't want to buy them. So, woo! Jack FPV, thanks for $10. I got a ton of super chats coming in at the last minute. Thank you so much to everybody who's donated. And thank you so much to everybody who has come out for the live stream. That is going to do it for this live stream. No Ciati stream tonight. Ciati's taking a break. Yeah, Phantom FPV says he's right. It's better. Phantom FPV, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think you didn't want to believe that DJI. You wanted analog to be good enough. And Phantom FPV tried DJI, and he was like, damn it. Damn it, I have to switch to DJI now. And like a month later, he had switched all his quads to DJI and he just like, that's it for analog for him. And that's the risk of trying DJI. is that, you know, that's how good it is. So he says they sold it all and went digital. So, you know, there you go. All right, guys, that's going to do it. I'm going to get out of here. I will see you tomorrow at 6 p.m. right here for the news with It's Blunty. We got a whole bunch of stuff coming up on the news. I did read the Super Chats. I'm caught up on the Super Chats. What are you talking about? I'm totally caught up on all the Super Chats. Right? Yeah, I'm totally caught up. Somebody was like, you're not going to read the Super Chats? No, of course I did. I read them. We're done. All right, we're out of here, guys. See you tomorrow. And throughout the week, happy flying, everybody.